Okay, so funny topic. How Americanized have we become?
Right.
That when we found out about Hispanic Heritage Month, we were like, what? How do you celebrate it?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. How do you celebrate it? And then we get to the point where it just took us down a rabbit hole of, wait, how far removed are we from our family's country of origin?
Yeah, I've always had like a hard time of, how Americanized I have gotten, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I have struggled with, and I've shared a little bit of stories about what has happened. And so recently I went to Cabo like a month ago, and I was so excited because as I mentioned before, I really want to work towards getting more in tune with culture. For a long time, my American side has shown more than my Mexican side, and I was like, okay, I think I want those to flip. And so I went to Mexico, and I was trying to speak Spanish with everyone. And
which you're fluent in.
Which I'm fluent in. I do therapy in Spanish. I still talk to my family in Spanish. I am fluent in the language. And it's a very touristy city, and everyone there knows Spanish and English. And this tourist guy was trying to sell me this tour. And I'm talking to him in Spanish. He starts talking to me in Spanish. And then right at the start of the conversation, he just kind of switches to English and tells me, I'm just going to talk to you in English because I can tell your Spanish is not that great. And that broke my heart. Like, so shocked that he said that to me. And I was just like, okay. And so I just started talking to him in English because I didn't want to make him feel bad, the fact that he's talking to me in English. I didn't want to make it seem like I was disrespecting the quality of his English, even though he kind of disrespected my quality of Spanish. So I just kind of kept going, but it just kind of made me wonder, like, how it's very common for first generation. Where are you from? Are you from here? Or are you over there? Like, you're too American for Mexico, and then you're too Mexican for the Americans, right? And so I think that sparked, am I too American for my people? And that was really something really hard to deal with. And so I think that's what made me want to learn more about what does it mean for Hispanic Heritage Month.
Right. For me, it's this, I feel I have mourned it because I have kids, and I'm like, man, if you could only feel what I feel with rancheras, it would be so just worth it, or if you can have a funny joke in Spanish that you would get it, or some like cultural things of like El Chavo del Ocho, or like, I mourn that. But what I've found more recently is pressure. Mm-hmm. I feel so much pressure from the community and social settings, like, well, you're Mexican, like, show us, or like, but it just feels like a lot of pressure to constantly be like, I have to show that my kids are Mexican because I'm Mexican. Mm-hmm. I have to show, that I'm American because I need to be grateful or something, right? So it's even, I was telling you a story that a friend of mine we were having a celebration, and she said, well, do you have any like traditional stuff that you can incorporate? And I went on a rabbit hole, and I thought, I almost feel like I have to put on a show. Like I'm like, dance monkey. Like, it's like that for me sometimes. And I'm just like, listen, I'm Mexican. I listen to Vicente when I'm getting ready, but I don't have to prove it all the time or have to like show it. Sometimes I think like, okay, if I was more attuned with my Mexican side, what would I be wearing?
Mm-hmm.
I would love to wear like beautiful garments made by, you know, Mexican business owners or designers.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, I have, and this is what we're talking about, right? Like, how Americanized have you gotten? That it's not really my nature anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very like comfort driven.
Got it.
And I'm you know, I buy things that feel good. So am I really going to go out of my way to make a point?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and to make a point for what and for who?
Yeah.
It's some of those things that I'm just like, it's more of an effort.
Got it.
You know?
I wonder too, and I know this is, we were talking about like how this could segue a little bit to microaggressions, and like a whole completely different talk. But I also kind of wonder if that adds, you know, maybe someone's lack of understanding of how a question like that can affect you, right? Because I think they mean well,
right?
But sometimes it's like, yeah, put on the show, and you're like, wait, what? You know, I have to do more. I have to do something else.
I know. I'm like, oh man, now I have to do more because I'm the Mexican friend. Like, oh, what a drag. But it also goes the other way, like what you said, right? Like, we were with a group of friends that were, ironically enough, my husband's friends, who he's not Mexican, but he has a group of friends that are like from Mexico City that live in Houston. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm having a conversation with these women, and they're making me feel like you should try harder. You should be more in tune with your Mexican side. Like, you are Mexican. You should be teaching your children Spanish. Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? And that again was pressure, and I'm just like, oh, you're right, I should. Yeah. And then I'm thinking, again, I'm just a mold. Like, I've evolved. Like when Selena, you know, when the dad was talking about the two squirrels.
Yeah.
And the squirrel that ended up on one side and the squirrel that ended up on the other side. I'm like, what if I'm on a different side of that spectrum now?
You know, and I think when you said that and you brought it Selena, by the way, I love Selena. It made me think about the spectrum of, and then we can just stick to Mexican for now because we're both Mexican, it's easier. And so the spectrum of like how Mexican are you, or like whatever culture you're from. And because then we hear a lot of, well, how Mexican, how Hispanic, how Latin are you if you don't speak Spanish? Mm-hmm. Right, and that's something Selena struggled with. Right. It's like, is Mexico gonna accept me because I sing in Spanish, but I don't know how to speak it.
Yeah, and her dad was even afraid for her. Like, they're gonna chew you up, girl.
Right, and so I think the question is like, when is it enough? Like, when are you classified, and how come it brings in the topic to some people where you're less a little bit if you don't speak the language, and so much so that it even affects me, right? Because sometimes I feel less, like I feel like too Americanized when I have situations like that where people, you know, start talking to me in English, and I'm like, whoa, I thought I was this Latina therapist that Spanish is her first language, that does therapy in Spanish, that talks you know, at home in Spanish. And so it was really like, it shook me a little bit. It was like, it insulted my identity. Right. And it made me question, like, whoa, like, am I too Americanized? You know, I didn't like that feeling because I'm very proud to be Mexican. Right. And so, you know, it's like, at what point and what makes this even a thing that we question, like, Mexicanness?
Right. To like what you were saying earlier as far as like the identity part, it's so true, right? Because you do want to stick to what you know, and you do want to like honor your Hispanic heritage or your Mexican roots. So we tried hard to like show who we are, where we come from. That goes to like food, right? Yeah. And I think, okay, I need to make sure I learn certain things, or like the tamales, right? And I'm adamant with my mom, like, you need to teach me these. And I'm almost there. Definitely not great.
Okay.
But I'm almost there. But you know what's funny? My kids have such pride in the tamales making.
Okay.
And they're even more in tune with the Mexican identity. They're like, well, you know, because we're Mexican and we're making tamales, it's our tradition. It's a family secret. I'm like, it's not a family secret, but, you know, not a big deal. But even just like those little moments, I'm like, okay, I'm doing something right. And it's just a blend. Even when we're doing therapy, right? Sometimes I am just speaking Spanish. And I feel so good that I can understand colloquially what they're saying, like the references to certain pop culture, or like, you know, Cantinflas stuff, or I'm just like, that is such pride. Like, these are my roots, right?
Yeah.
But you know when I'm most comfortable? When I'm doing therapy and it's Spanglish.
Okay.
It's my favorite. I have couples that we go back and forth, we code switch. And it's just so comfortable because, yes, they get the Mexican roots of like pop culture or whatever references, but then we also have these like English references and American pop culture stuff, and it's just like, this is where I'm at. This is who I am. You know, it's like honestly, in California, it made so much more sense because we're just called Chicanos. And it's such an identity, right? You're just like, you're not there, you're not here, you're a Chicana. And unfortunately, in Texas, there's no such thing, so I just kind of want to bring it, like, hey, Texans. We can identify as this too. But that's like my sweet spot.
I think what confused me a little bit about Hispanic Heritage Month was because I'm making it, you know, a goal of mine to be more on my Mexican side. And so then this month comes in, it's just like, oh, should I be doing something else?
Yeah, that's the pressure that I'm talking about. I'm like, oh, what should I be doing?
Yeah. Should I be cooking more Mexican meals? Or, because I try to cook, you know, more, you know, Mexican dishes now. But then it's like, should I be doing like even more now this month, or should I be watching Selena or like any other, you know, Hispanic Heritage Month or movies, or, you know, should I be doing this thing? And so it's like, that's the part that threw me off a little bit, because it's like, I thought I was already, you know, been trying to celebrate my heritage.
Right.
And so it's just like, oh, is there something that I'm missing? Is there something that needs to be done differently?
That's your question. How do you celebrate?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So maybe it's just, you know, a time for, you know, us Hispanics and Latinos to show like how proud we are. And I think for other cultures too, to just kind of learn more about our culture, or give space for the culture, which is a really cool thing. But I think I was definitely overthinking it.
Yeah, I like the part of like, take this month as an opportunity to showcase it.
Yeah.
And yeah, in mind of the other people that are not part of our culture, that it's like, hey, if you want to have a glimpse of it, this is what it is for me, you know, because we're so diverse. There's so many. But yeah, I like that.
Yeah. I think something that you mentioned food, and I think food is such like a love language for our culture. And we have all these amazing dishes that, like when I eat a tamal, menudo, you know, pozole, it really makes me feel like, oh my God, you know, I'm getting really in tune with my culture, and I really, really love that. And I think music is another thing for me. I think a really proud moment for me was when I went to see the RBD concert.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I used to watch the novela when I was a kid, and it was just, I remember it was such a thing. And so I actually missed them in Houston because I was like, I think I'll be fine. You know, I won't regret it. Then I found myself regretting it, and so I was like, oh, where else are they gonna go?
Oh, so you went to go see them somewhere else?
Yes, they actually were going to Phoenix soon,
Oh.
and I have family in Phoenix. So I texted my cousin. I was like, hey, do you want to go with me? Because in my 15, she dressed like an Arrebede.
Oh.
Yes, like Roberta.
Mhm.
She had like the red hair and the skirt. So she was really into them too. And so she was like, yeah, I flew there for a day and we went to the Arrebede concert. And it was the best time ever. It felt really nice. Just singing in Spanish and hearing everyone else sing in Spanish and like the nostalgic feeling.
Right.
And it was just, I think, really special for me. And it's like one of the things that I think really helped me get more in tune with my Mexican roots. So that was really nice.
It's almost like that feeling of belonging.
Yeah, it really felt that way. Like, it's almost like, I don't know, like being Americanized, it almost like masks a little bit of your other identity.
Right.
And so, you know, I listen to a lot of, you know, rap and R&B and English music. And so I think it just, I don't know, it was just a different layer of me.
Yeah.
And in that concert, it felt like that layer like was out, and it was just like only my, you know, my Mexican side. And so yeah, it felt very much.
If you think about the word like your roots, doesn't it, when you visualize it in that imagery that you just described, it makes so much sense. It's like your roots were the ones that were lighting up in that moment, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was really nice.
I love moments like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
no pressure, just you.
It just happened. Yeah. You know, very authentic. You know, you don't have to like show up for anyone or do it for anyone else or like out of pressure.
Right.
It's just kind of
no one's watching you.
Yeah, it just happened.
Yeah. So anyway, that was our experience with Hispanic Heritage Month and the conversation that sparked.
Sure. So let us know about your experiences with your own culture and then your American culture, and if you kind of that has been for you, and if you kind of share some of the similar things that have happened to us.
Yeah. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and follow us, subscribe to our YouTube channel, leave some comments, send us some messages. We love connecting.
Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in.